Ooh, nice. Okay, so 10 p.m. Singapore time and also 3 p.m. UK. So we'll be waiting for guests to come in. And thank you, Grant. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Matt, who are on time for tonight's session. I say tonight because I'm in Singapore, so it is 10 p.m. my time. And I would love to acknowledge all of you for staying here for the next hour because this topic is pretty interesting. And it's called closing more sales by speaking on platform. A few of us actually are using this particular method to actually get more sales. The teaser for this is basically I love doing one-on-one close, easy, in very, but it's actually quite a lot of like energy draining, or it may not be effective. So later we'll be discussing the differences between closing sales using one-on-one basis versus closing sales using a platform. Now, this platform is not just really like speaking on stage, because during COVID, a lot of us can't do live events. As a result, we will be doing something called closing online. If closing in an online event, it is still a platform. So we'll be exploring this topic later on. So before that, let me do some admin notice here. Let me make make my make my make my moderators. Let me make you guys moderators first. Just allow me to press a few button, then you guys are good to go. Okay. So I have not been here for 2 weeks already. The reason why is because I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and it's pretty interesting to see things happen in Malaysia. So this week I'm back to Singapore, but next week also I may be going back to Kuala Lumpur again. Okay, so let's see how it goes. So to start, I would like to acknowledge our panel and thank you for being here for this topic. So let's take turn to introduce yourself, and then we'll get started after this. So Grant, first of all, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jack, and thanks for inviting me to the room. And my name is Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over the last 19 years, almost 20 years, but over the last 19 years, myself and my team have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, and organisations across 15 countries. We've helped them to increase their profits by up to 200% in a matter of just a few short months by working on their team, their systems, their mindset, and their strategy. And I have a vision. I'm building a global movement of 1 million leaders to help them to live life without limits while helping them to clearly communicate their message with the world. That's me. Over to you, Matt.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Hatchram, and for the past 17 years I've trained and coached hundreds of thousands of people in over 50 countries to grow their business and grow their wealth. I'm excited to talk about this subject. It's a great subject there, Jack. I am the best-selling author of the books The Millionaire Moment and also Face It and Fix It. One's a wealth creation book, one's a business development book. And only last night I was awarded the Global Man for the work that I've been doing for over 17 years by the organization named Global Woman. And so that was a great accomplishment and achievement and award that they gave me yesterday. So it's a pleasure to be here to discuss this topic. Thank you. Over to you, Jane.
Thank you, Mac, and everyone. Thanks, Jack, everybody. My name is Jane Johnson. I've been clearing and coaching people 39 years. Still at it because I love it. And I just love working with people and helping them get the results they want, mostly by seeing things differently than they've been seeing them, because whatever they've been seeing, maybe it's not working. So I help people see things in a new way that they hadn't thought of. So yeah, that's me. That's my work. And over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Jane, and great to be here as always. So my name is Richard Morgan. Over the last sort of 10 years, I've been concentrating on building financial freedom for myself and time freedom. And for the last sort of 3 to 4 years, I've had a coaching business where I help my clients to achieve the same as what I'm doing. So that's mainly through mindset, but also through helping them to build additional streams of income as well. So that's me. Over to you, Prashant. Thank you.
Maybe.
Is anyone? Is it me or is it the
No,
thing?
I don't know. I thought it's me also. It's like everyone wonder, is it
uh,
myself?
I think that maybe he can't get reception or something. So over to you.
Okay.
Over to you, Jack.
Thank you, thank you. So Jack here, Prashant is here. Prashant is back. So why not we let
Yes,
Prashant do the intro first? Thank you,
yes,
Prashant. Go ahead.
everyone. I think this room. And my name is Prashant Kumar, a best-selling author of the book Check-In with Every Check-In, and a hospitality management consultant. For the past 21 years, I have been a part of the hospitality industry, and now I help independent hoteliers scale their business, boost profits, boost ratings, and build a better performing team. So this is me, Prashant Kumar. I am very much excited about today's topic. So let's have discussion about this. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Prashant. Okay, Jack Wong here from Singapore. Over the last 28 years, have been helping thousands of multinational companies and high net worth individuals optimizing their tax position legally, morally, and ethically. I've been speaking in front of the room for 22 years already, and I have a lot of interesting story that I will be sharing. And the whole reason why I decided to do this topic for this session because I just went to Kuala Lumpur and I did a gig on this. And as a result, we are going to host our speakers training next month in Kuala Lumpur. And in this talk, in our pitch, basically, we ask the audience, I don't care whether you are coaches, consultants, business owners, parenting, whatever, the most powerful way of getting more leads or closing more sales is not about spending money on Facebook ad for sure. It is effective, but I want to find something that's more leverage. And Matt actually talked about joint venture 2 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. I hope I remember correctly. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be there. But then the next question is that, okay, what if I'm doing phone close? I'm doing something called sell by chat, but it's still a one-on-one basis. So I was thinking, hey, is there a better and more effective way to actually get more sales and have more impacts on people's life? So Blair Singer, our teacher in common, actually introduced me 10 years ago about the idea of speaking on platform, not just for speaking purpose. It's about making sales on platform, and that's the reason why we have this thing called platform speaking. A few of us here are doing platform speaking, and most importantly, we are not just doing platform speaking, we are also doing platform closing. So I would like to start with a very foundational idea. So if you are watching replay, if you are actually listening live, whichever it is serving you, I welcome you to this topic because to me, speaking on platform is something pretty interesting. Just because my English is not my first language, I'm not like some of our moderators here. It doesn't make me bad, doesn't make me not effective. It's about to be able to articulate your message, understand the essence of why you are speaking on platform and what do you want to give to the audience. So in this session, what we are going to do, we'll be inviting the moderators to share their opinions, to share the experience, share what have they learned throughout their careers in speaking on platform and closing a platform. I believe we have a lot of stories to share. So I will start first, like what Matt always does when he runs the room. So I will just start by sharing with you what it takes to be a person being able to stand on stage and speaking to the crowd before we even talk about closing on platform. Because I remember Blair taught me the biggest lesson of public speaking. People are fearful with public speaking because of this thing called public humiliation. And in 2022, I would love to reframe the word and say it's not so much about public humiliation, it's our self imposed judgment. And what Gary Vaynerchuk loves to say in his video always is our own judgment. If we put ourselves in the situations whereby we don't feel good about doing a gig in front of people, because we might look back, we might be saying stupid things, or we might be saying things that people are not interested. And guess what all this about? Judgment is also our little voice, which we have touched on this topic for many, many weeks. So that is the first thing that I realized. So how do we overcome that? Of course, through James' work and through Blair Singer's teaching, we have our resources to learn how to deal with our little voice. So in order to be standing on stage and do a good job, first of all, it's all about personal development. Many people actually focus so much on the techniques, the skills, or what we call author, which is like what we are going to talk about later, I believe. The first thing that I believe we have to work on ourselves to ensure that we're able to stand on stage and speak in front of the people is actually to be vigorously working on ourselves. So that is very important from my experience. And the second thing, obviously, is to be able to speak on stage. What is the message? What are you giving to your audience? And speaking on stage for the sake of speaking versus speaking on stage for closing are two different things. They might seem to be related, and later we'll explore this as well. So public speaking and speaking on platform, pretty much the same, but speaking on platform to close requires a additional technique or additional skills. So we'll be exploring that. So I will just open to the moderator right now. Is there anything you would like to share with us as an introduction about speaking on platform and closing on platform? I believe Matt will say something for sure. I know that. And congratulations, Matt, for receiving the award. I saw the picture. That's lovely and awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jack. Yeah, it was
Go
a
ahead.
long night yesterday, receiving that Global Man Award. Yes, and certainly partly receiving that Global Man Award was because I have presented and trained so many people in over 50 countries, and a lot of it has been platform speaking. And so, as an introduction, what I would say is having the ability to speak in front of masses of people. And I presume, Jack, when we talk about speaking from the platform, yes, we're talking about the stage in front of the room at an event, at a seminar, at a workshop, at a talk. And also, in this day and age we live in, it's very much digital now. So we can't afford to ignore the digital world, the virtual world, because there's so many people we can reach in that way as well. So having the skill to speak in front of masses of people, for me, gives you an advantage. And that advantage means that you can actually move forward faster in some areas of your business and in life. And so the key word here is leverage for me. You're leveraging your time. So, in the old school way of often getting your communication across is speaking to people one on one, one on one, one on one. And there is a place and there's a time and place for that. But in this day and age, if you want to reach a lot more people and with the view of actually getting them to take some kind of action, whether it's a sale, or whether you want to motivate them, whether you want to inspire them, whether you want them to be able to take some action, then being able to speak to 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people in an hour, rather than speaking to one person in an hour. So leverage is what the key point I want to make here. I'm sure we'll elaborate furthermore as we go around after the introductions. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Matt. I listened to you. The keyword is the L word, leverage. Be very important because everyone has a limited amount of time. What if we are able to maximize our impact in less time possible, which is what leverage is all about, by speaking in front of the room? And you're right, Matt. I just did an online gig today. I just finished the gig at 5 p.m. my time. Yeah, I actually spoke in front of the room virtually today. So, yeah, in the digital world, whether you do it virtually or in person, this topic is still relevant. So, thank you, Matt, for highlighting and explaining. Anyone else can share with us your experience or stories as an introduction about speaking on platform, speaking in front of the room, or speaking virtually to a group of people? Anyone?
Yeah, hi, Jack.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi,
Right.
yeah, I'd like to jump in. And the point is, of course, a great thing. Selling one to one is great, but of course, it's a lot of work. And the most you can possibly ever, as you're talking about speaking and selling, of course, the most you can ever score if you're doing one to one is one. That's the most sales you can ever make. But if you're doing one to many, then of course you can sell to many in the same time scale, thus leveraging that most important asset of your life, time. So it's a great definition. And the one thing which I find comes up an awful lot is that there's a lot of people who would give what I would call a talk. Now, I guess, Jack, coming from your background in tax, you probably see lots of people give a talk, which is just a version of what they would do if they were sitting down, except they're just standing on their feet normally. And of course, as you know very, very well, and I think all the people on the panel here would understand very well, is that giving a talk is very different to a presentation. So there's a talk, there's a presentation, there's education, which of course to actually deliver the message in a way that people understand is a learned skill. And on top of all of that, you can do all of those things, but they aren't necessarily selling. So it is the combined skills of being able to present, being able to educate, and being able to sell all coming together. And I think a lot of people miss that. And it is as much of an art form as it is a science. That's the point I wanted to make. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you, Grant. I love the fact that you mentioned it's a science, not art. The difference between science and art is something that I do, but I cannot transfer because I don't know how to explain that. Whereas science is a formula. I can transfer what I learned, what I have done to you because of the formula. I can transfer to my know-how step by step. So this is actually a science and not an art only. If somebody wants to argue with me that it's not a science, we can talk for another few hours on that. No problem. Thank you, Grant. So, Prashant, Richard, and Jane, do you have anything you would like to share as an introduction on this topic before I move on to the next piece? Okay,
Uh,
Jane, go ahead. Thank
yeah,
you.
I'll say something. Years ago, I would do my goals workshops in hotel venues, on the stage, and lots of fun, lots of energy. COVID kind of took that away. But I guess what I want to say is if a person is comfortable, whether it is one person or it's a group, or whether you're on the stage or it's Zoom or whatever, Clubhouse, um, it's about being comfortable and confident, you know, and to just, for me, I just want to be myself, and I don't have a script, which you could probably tell by my intro when we started the call. I just say what I feel, and then you can connect with people that way, which I think is maybe the third C there. So comfortable, confident, and connecting. And I didn't make that up in advance, so it's amazing that came out, but I really like that, those three C's. And I like working one on one. Maybe we all do. Um, so it's just a matter of personal preference and who your market is and who you want to reach and what your message is. But to have the choice, whether it's one on one or group or whatever it is, to feel confident that it's whatever you want to choose at the time, whatever's going to get you the results you want and create a win-win situation. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
And thank you, Jane. You brought up a very important point. After all, it's a matter of choice and preferences. And like you said, someone may prefer doing one-on-one because that's the forte, that's what they prefer. Someone would, however, want to speak in front of the room because it's like what Matt said, is about leverage. Because of the shortage of time, so leverage sounds good to a few of us here. Like I believe that I'm one of those. I will be one of those who raise out my hand and say I want leverage, not one on one for that reason. So thank you for this, Jane. And Richard and Prashant, do you have anything to add on this introduction before we move on to the next piece? Richard, go ahead, please.
Hey, Jack. Yeah, just really interested listening to you guys, to be honest. As always, learning from you. But just my thoughts on what was just spoken about. So, in terms of speaking to a room, obviously you get the leverage. You're on a platform, and as Jane says, one to one, I think you're going to get that a much deeper connection with that person and be able to address their issues on a one to one basis. So, I suppose not really a statement, but more of a thought is that obviously. My thought is that one to one calls are probably more effective at actually selling obviously one to one, because like I say, you can talk to people and understand their personal situation. So potentially that might be more powerful to get a individual sale. But then again, coming back to the leverage, if you're in front of a room of hundreds or potentially thousands or more people, then that is obviously a great leverage in time, and you'll get a lot more sales that way. Like I say, just a bit of a brain dump there. So back to you, Jack.
Thank you, Richard. It's always about preference. It's always about the situation also. Like some people would love to speak in front of the room and they want a big room. They would not want to do the gig. Like I know some people, they would not want to do a gig unless they have like hundreds or thousands of people in the room. And in Singapore context, to fill 1,000 people in a room, it will cost quite a lot of money. It's not easy to do that because we are a small country. Other countries may be easier. But that being said, I believe it's not about the size. I believe there's something that we have to do. It's about what do the audience want from us. And at the end of the day, of course, if we are doing platform closing, then there must be something that we have to offer to the audience so that they can take action after our gig. So we will talk about this later for sure. I believe Matt will share this later on, and I have something to share as well. Grant may have something to share as well. So Prashant, do you have anything to add before I move on to the next piece? Prashant? Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead.
thank you. Of course, it's awesome thing that by spending same time you can close more people. And as you all mentioned, that it's a science. That's true. And of course, I am new for this topic, so I am yet to learn about this science. And I'm very much keen to learn from you all and implement this so I can close more people. One hurdle, what I feel that when we are closing one to one, we understand the psychology, we understand the movement of that person who is in front of you. But of course, when you are closing 1,000 and 100 people, something we have to pick which is going to be common for most of the people. So they are going to be closed by using the technique and strategies what is going to be implemented in closing the group room. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. It's about mastering a skill. So when I first started speaking on stage, I was raw. I was an amateur. I didn't know what I was doing at all. So sounds like, oh my god, I'm really an idiot then. I won't say I'm idiot now. I'm actually better than an idiot because I've been doing this for long, and as a result, even though I don't speak proper or fluent English, it is not about the language. It's really about the languaging. There's a difference between language and the languaging. Languaging is linguistic, is the embedded command. There's a science behind whatever we say so that people will subconsciously understand, this is something I want to do, or this is something that's cool, I want to take action on that. Whereas language is purely like in this case, I'm speaking English, although my first language is Cantonese. So that is language. So there is a difference on that. So for people who are watching or listening to me listening to Clubhouse right now, if you feel that because my first language is is something that the audience may not understand, well, get rid of that little voice. It's not about the language. It's about it's about your ability to articulate your point. Use linguistics to embed your commands. There's a little bit of what we call embedded commands over there, so that the audience will be able to take some actions on that. So I know Grant will fall in love with this linguistic topic because he and I are NLP trained. So we can talk about this for hours. Grant, do you have anything to say about the linguistics?
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, yeah. My eyes lit up when you said embedded commands, embedded suggestions, etc., etc. Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to say that yes, I mean language is important, but it's not as big a part of the presentation as we know. So for those listening, absolutely, because over the years there have been some very famous speeches. Now, if I can say this, okay, let's go back into history. If anybody knows me well, I watch lots of documentaries about history, politics, war, all these things, social change, and I look at the common threads in all of them. Now, one of the most famous orators of the 20th century, not the most popular person, very very questionable ethics, is of course that name Adolf Hitler. Yes, not a name that's very popular for righteous reasons, but one thing he was very very good at and learned extremely well was how to command an audience. So much so that he had them almost mesmerized. Was it a natural skill? No. Was it learned? Absolutely. And I remember watching a documentary once of two of the youths who were watching him in those enormous, if you've ever seen the documentaries, those enormous rallies he had. Absolutely enormous. I mean, of gigantic proportion. Can you imagine what the sound system was like in the 1930s? Well, I think the short answer is not very good. Therefore, it was echoing so much they couldn't hear what they said. And this guy said he was there with his school friend, and they both cheered immensely when Hitler said something. And the first person said to his friend, "What did he say?" And the other said, "I don't know, but it was good, wasn't it?" And that for me says it all. He had captured the audience. It wasn't just his words, it was his words, but it wasn't just the words because they didn't catch that. It was the pauses, it was the intonation, it was his engagement with the audience, it was his gestures, and yes, it was his body language. All of these things come together along with the PR campaign that goes behind it is everything that supports it on the day. So, yeah, absolutely. So, if you're speaking in English and English isn't your first language, it's not that important. It's about the few things that you choose to say and those embedded commands. It is, as you listen to me now. There is the embedded.
I have to laugh together with you, Grant. But please go ahead. I left you.
The word now, just said slightly separately, slightly higher volume, as it implies you would do it. Yeah. So in a moment, not now, but in a moment, when you go to the back and all of these things, seeding, all of these things, and Mac will tell you so much about this, obviously. And Jack, I know you are also a past master. Like yourself, I'm not new to this, but I'm not a world veteran at doing it yet. But on the way to getting there. And my point is, you never ever stop learning. Some people in the audience here know that I watch many speakers, and you look at them, and after a while, you get to know what they're doing. You understand the system, the strategy, where they are, and then suddenly something will come out, and you think, "Never heard that before. Never heard it phrased like that." That's a great analogy. What a brilliant story. You never ever stop learning. You can never stop learning. And here's the thing: when you think you've got it all figured out, something changes. Something changes in the world of economics. In a new, I mean, what's happening now? We're actually looking at the metaverse. We're looking at new things. I mean, the whole world of events is probably going to be changing in front of our very, very eyes, and we're on the crest of a wave now. So just when you think you got it all figured out, boom, it changes again, and there's more to learn. But that, of course, is mastery. It's not just resting on your laurels, it's learning more. So I think if people, and I used to encounter this a lot in the world of networking, people would say, "Oh, I learned about speaking years ago." And while they probably learned some stuff that was great then, some of those fundamentals still remain true and will never change. Yet some of it changes very subtly, like culture, because it is a culture change. Things change subtly, day by day, week by week, month by month, until eventually, if you stop learning and growing, bang, the world has changed in front of you and you're left behind. And I think when it comes to presenting and closing from stage, as you so eloquently put it, Jack, it is a great skill and it's something you need to keep on top of. And that's just what I've noticed from my own personal experience. Hope you like that, Jack. Hope you like the embedded command. Over to you.
Certainly, certainly. I just love the fact that it's like you said, it's a skill. It's a very learnable skill. It's a high income skill for those who love to look at the practicality. It's also a skill that can make you feel good when you are able to impact more lives at the same time. So I want to move on to the next topic. Like here, I want to talk about a little bit of platform closing, not so much about just stand on stage and speak. Because when I was young, I was part of the debate team. I love to argue with my opponents, and that is a form of speaking in front of the room, but with a particular objective. So when it comes to actually speaking on platform for closing purposes, I believe the things that why I choose platform closing as a topic to discuss is because I'm a professor. I actually do lectures. So imagine uh, professors or typical lecturers are giving a lecture. What is that coming through your mind when you attend the session? You see a bunch of information coming here and there. You may say this too much. Oh my God, I cannot remember any single damn thing. Eventually, it doesn't make any impact on you. You walk away with nothing. So that is as typical comments that I have when people associate with a lecture. Obviously, platform closing is not about lecture for sure. So we want to make some distinction about a typical presentation which Grant have said is different from a typical lecture. It's actually a presentation. So why are we talking about this particular presentation scenario? It's because I've got two guys or two girls, Mary and Jane. Or Jane. So Jane is here. So let me give another lady's name, Mary and who? Amy. Okay, Mary and Amy. So Mary and Amy give two gigs at the same time, same topic, to the same group of audience. Of course, it's on different stages. So Mary has done the gig, and people wave. Wow, it's so great, the presentation. They all love Mary's presentation, and Mary received a standing O, or I call it standing ovation at the end. Full house, everybody loved. And then Amy, on the other hand, did the same thing, did the same gig. Nobody clapped hands at all. There's no standing ovation. And Mary went to Amy and asked, "How come nobody give you a standing O? And what happened? Does it mean that your gig sucks? Does it mean that people are not interested?" And Amy said one thing, "Hey, you know what? People did not have time to do a standing O because they are busy they're busy going to the back of the room and buy my stuff, buy my books, buy my course, buy my ongoing education." So that is actually a story that I learned many years ago when it comes to platform closing. I don't need a standing O because people are busy going to the rushing or dashing to the back of the room to buy my stuff. So platform closing, the first thing that is very important is your objective of this gig. Are you doing this with a call to action? Are you offering and continuing education like what a lot of our trainers do that? Or are you giving a talk with not an online with not without any continuous education because maybe this is an event that you are not allowed to make that offer? Are you able to seed? Are you able to give some form of call to action so that the audience are able to take the next step? Doesn't necessarily mean they have to buy your course. It could be just another call to action for them to move on, to take some action as a result of the game. So that is actually, I believe, platform closing is all about. It's not about just give a presentation, people wait, hey, good job, yeah. Standing O is not like this. So I will just stop here for a while. Matt, do you have anything to offer on this point?
Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
version of platform
Jack,
closing. Go ahead.
absolutely, Jack. I think the key word here the optimal word that you use is closing. So, in effect, just like Grant said, it's not about just giving a presentation, but it is a close. In other words, we want them to take some form of action, whether it's book a call with us, whether it's go to the back and go and buy this, whether it's click here and do something. The whole presentation has to be geared towards the end result that you want, the action you want them to take at the end. And I've done, how many? I can't remember how many, millions of pounds and dollars of sales from the platform. And so what people forget and sometimes naively do is they want to give a great presentation. That's a given. But forget that at the end of the presentation, like you said, it's not a standing ovation we want. It's by the end of the presentation, this person or these people must understand that there is something in their life or in their business or in their health or in their relationship or whatever that they recognize is not working. And they've made up their mind that they actually want to improve in that respect, in that aspect. And I am the person, I'm their trusted advisor that can help them do that. Personally, from my side of things, if I do not do that, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, where else are they going to get this information? Who else is going to help them? If I don't help them now, I don't feel good that they would continue suffering for weeks, months, years in an area that they could overcome if they knew that someone else could help them. So, absolutely, the word is close. The word is close. And there is a big difference. And I'll say this while I'm on this subject here. There is a big difference between closing someone one on one or doing a presentation and closing one on one, presenting on a webinar and closing, presenting from the front of the room on a stage and closing from a consultation point of view. It's all very different. And some people have tried to close on a webinar using the skills they've learned from selling from the stage. It just doesn't work. They're two different things. Just like you wouldn't tell someone you are speaking to on one-on-one basis to go to the back of the room. What do you mean? I'm sitting in front of you. Why? There's different. It's a different skill set for every single way of selling. So the close has to be, here's the action that I need you to make now so that you can improve in that area that you want to improve in. Maybe they weren't even aware until my presentation that this was an issue and this was lacking in their life and they want to improve in this life because what I've just said makes sense to them. Let's go to the next step. So I just wanted to throw that in there, Jack. Thanks a lot, Mac.
Fair enough. Thank you, man. Thank you. Fair enough. In a webinar, you don't ask them to go to the back. What is the back of the room? Whereas in a live event, you don't ask them to click the link because they are all sitting down with their notepad and pen. They can rush to the back of the room. So yes, of course, the manner in which the closing action is explained varies, depends on the situation. But one thing I believe is very important is for all platform closing, the first thing is not learning about the closing skill. A lot of people, like I actually went through that trap myself, whereby I was fascinated with different people's closing skill, and I realized that actually the sequencing is not right. The first thing that we need to understand about platform closing is actually to go back, like what Stephen Covey always says, rule number 3, have the end in mind and reverse engineer. Reason, because if the offer is not clear, if the offer is not good value, if I don't even convince myself that offer is good, I will buy it. No matter how good your gig is, nobody will embrace it. So that is the first thing I would love to throw into the room. That is, you must be clear with your outcome. It is like, what is the offer that you make? Is that just a call to action of booking a call? Is there a call to action to ask people to embrace and continue education? You notice I didn't say to buy a course. I deliberately use something that I learned from my teacher Alex Mandossian. Is I offer and continuing education because I want people to continue to have education with me. So that is a command embedded in their head. So another thing I also notice is people are so focused on giving information in their gig. So we can actually have a discussion later on in the next 10 minutes or so. In the good old days, I would say that like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I first learned this skill, I was given this thing, like probably is because from whom I learned the sequencing that is to do a platform closing gate. I must first of all follow the introduction, then I will give the information. I'm very nice guy as a teacher. I'm very nurturing to give and share the information. And suddenly at that point, the turning point, I become the red devil. Because I said, okay, enough information I give to you. Thank you very much. Now I'm selling you, I'm closing you. So I become a red devil. And at that juncture, from a nurturing teacher turning into a hardcore salesperson, I know a lot of people freak out. I cannot accept this myself as well. So in today's world, when Grant talk about like bring our skill up to the next level, it's not just about teach, then sell. That is not working anymore. So, any moderators would like to share with the room about what I've just said about teach, and then sell. Is that working with you? If not, why not? Anyone would like to share with us your experience on that? Okay, nothing, right? Okay, so never mind. I'll continue.
I can add.
Okay, Matt. Oh, you have. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah.
Teach, and sell. Become the red devil. Does that work for you?
Here's a here's a point I want to make on that. I know exactly what you mean, Jack, but I want to add a point to it that once you've made up your mind that you are going to sell from the platform, you have to understand your presentation is a combination of teaching and selling. You're not just going to. You're not. The big mistake people make is they either don't know how to transition from their teaching aspect to selling, or they go hard in selling right the way through. When I teach people how to sell from the stage, and when I teach them how to speak from the stage, I make sure they understand that the way you approach your teaching and your selling does not change. They're not two different things. The content or where you're trying to drive them to could be, but the way you approach, and I'm sure lots of you have seen it. You'd have seen a speaker on the stage, and maybe they give a great presentation. And then there's a point where they are going to sell something, and their whole demeanor, body language, their voice, everything changes. Like, what's going on here? And the whole room feels it. So for me, it's not teach, sell. It is very much, I'm going to give you so much value, and I'm going to make you an offer. So for me, the way I approach the whole thing is singular. It's streamlined. It's by the time you buy from me, it's not like I've tried to change something. I say, look, you've got this problem, you want to overcome it. Here's my solution. Here's the offer. Let's go for it. So I just want to put a little twist in there, Jack. That it's not. There's for me. There's no shift. It's got to be the same. Back in the day, go back 15 years ago, 17 years ago, when I look back on some of my videos, I was doing that. And that's a big mistake. It's got to be the same right the way through. So, Jack, Smack, I've done speaking for a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for sharing your wisdom on that. So when I talk about teach, and sell, what I mean is that before I sell, before I make the close, I was a very giving, nurturing teacher. I'm giving information. So what I realize is that my style right now is I'm not so much giving information without any intention behind. My style is I'm very upfront. At the very beginning, I'm transparent enough to say at the end of the day, if I make an offer, only because I've given you guys value may have the permission to make an offer at the end. I'm very transparent that I will make an offer at the end. I would not even give them a surprise. Hey, you know what? I'm now giving an offer and I make this surprise to the end. That's too late already. So I don't like that shit anymore. I like to be upfront. That's my style. Different people may have different styles on that. At the same time, I also talk about in the platform closing, it's not so much about teach, sell. I would teach something and see it, followed by teach another piece and see it. And most importantly, teaching is not just give all information away. Teaching is also about sharing experiences because people can Google all information online. So basically, if you are just sharing information, people will not see the value on that. So what if you are able to share your success story working with your clients work with you? What if you share your experience? That would make the information you are sharing more valuable. So that is another thing that I would like to just highlight. So I will just stop for a while because I can continue talking about this because it's a topic that I actually do myself. Does anyone have anything to say? Otherwise, I don't want it to end up as a dialogue between Matt and myself. Anyone would like to share with you? Share say something? Aglis, you are here. Hi, welcome to the room. You have
Yeah, I've
anything to
just
add?
invited Jules on this,
Jules, yeah. So
and
yeah, Jules,
Jules is an expert in this
yeah,
arena.
I remember him. Yes,
Oh,
Jules,
you
hi.
remember him? Yeah. So
Yeah, I
he
remember
teaches
you.
these skills as well, and he's got, I don't know, over 30 years in corporate, and he teaches people public speaking, and he teaches people how to close from the front of the room.
Okay,
And
good.
some of the things we're talking about is so important that I'm sure he'll have some voice on that as well. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matt and Jules. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Mark. I hope you're well.
Yeah, very well. It's been a long night from yesterday's Global Woman Awards, and so lack of sleep, but it's all good. Feeling great, so it's great to see you as well.
Congratulations. I'm really happy that you were awarded that new award. many trophies that you have. I just came in, so I might repeat what some people have said. As far as I am concerned, closing more sales by speaking on platform, it depends on the platform you're speaking on. But as far as I'm concerned, you sell from the first minute to the last minute that you're there. I'm not talking about the sale of a car, which is a hard sell. I'm talking about a soft sell that is continuous, where you feed in value, you sell. You feed in value, and you sell on a constant basis, but without being so obvious. Being direct, but without being so obvious. Now, it depends on the time that you have. If I train for 3 days, for instance, I will have 2 hard sales during the course of the 3 days. Probably midday on the first day before lunch, and probably again midday, about 4 or 5 hours before we close on the second day. These are some of the techniques that we use and that we teach people. Because in most forums, when you're speaking for the stage or when you're on a panel, people give you information, provide information, exchange information for nothing. They give you, I'll repeat that, on most forums, and even very well-known speakers, they give you information, they feed you information, they give you information for nothing. Sales is an exchange. I give you value, you give me something. Whether it's value, a barter sell, a barter exchange, or whatever it is. But I give you something and you give me something. But I start from a position of generosity and giving to others before I take. I hope this is helpful and complementary to what you said.
Thank you, Jules, and appreciate that. Yep, I totally am with you. To actually start the gate by seeding right from the beginning. Ted Thomas is actually a very great platform speaker teacher, Ted Thomas. And Ted Thomas actually taught me a very important skill, that is speaking in 90 minutes, for example, he will sit at least 17 times. And he sit not just by sitting for the sake of using linguistic, he actually sit with multiple stories. And he's very good at that. So if people in this room, you would like to learn more about seeding this way, or trial close in another word used, Ted Thomas is actually a guy you may want to check out. He's very great on this. So thank you, Gilles. I totally am with you. Matt, do you have anything to say on this? Are you okay?
Yeah, and I think Gio makes a good point. And one of the points he made, which we hadn't covered up to now, is the point of value, value, so that that person, and I think the words he said was exchange. And I'm going to give you all this value for free, no charge. So much so that you can see that I know my stuff, that I'm an expert in this arena. So much so that I'm demonstrating to you that I can help you with the problem that you have, with a solution that I have. So much so that by the time I finish, you realize it's the natural decision to work with us, to work with me, because you're going to get the end result you want much faster than you could on your own. So it's a great point about exchange and adding value, but giving for free with the notion that from the beginning that, hey, that I'm going to offer you something. You've got this for free, but what if you actually paid for this stuff that I have? Well, could you get that faster? And the answer is clearly yes. Clearly, yes. Now, while we're on the same subject here, based on what Gilles been saying and yourself, Jack, is, and you mentioned it earlier on, Jack, about some people come up on the stage and they give, give, and give lots of stuff for free. But the problem is, and they ask the question, why am I not making money? The problem is the outcome they want at the end has not been predetermined. So they have no, and at every single stage, there is a skill set to it. From the moment you open your mouth at the beginning to the content that you give in between and to the call to action at the end, three different skill sets. And layered on top of that is what quite a few people have mentioned already. It's the facts, it's the story, it's the anecdotes, it's all the things that go with helping people to make a clear decision as to working with you. So I just wanted to add to that. Thank you there, Jack.
Thank you, Mac. This is very important. Value, value, value. So when we give information away, when we also keep saying that giving information away, am I actually giving information away? So one thing that I become aware, like in our part of the world, a few of us are really, really into this kind of like information transfer. It is like imagine that I have a concept that I'm explaining right now. You will find that it is so valuable, but you won't be able to implement this. So this is a classic case that we say, well, we'll give you a framework, give you a model, give you something about the components of the model. You feel good, you feel great value received because oh the model is cool, the framework is awesome. But if you take the model that we share in the gate away and you want to implement this, the only thing that you say is I cannot implement because I don't know how. So one thing that we found in Asia, it works very well. I don't know whether it works in UK or North America. Is the fact that I will explain a concept. I will show you that I'm an expert on that topic, but I would show you I have got the know-how. So notice the word is I would show you that I am the expert. I have the know-how, but during the gate, until you decide to come for my continuing education, I will not show you how to do it. Because the thing is that when I show you how to do it in the gate, most likely from the Asian perspective, the Asian would say, hey, thank you very much for sharing. It's so awesome. I got all the information. I don't need to continue my education with you. So that is the importance of have the know-how, but not showing the how. Grant, you want to say something?
Yeah,
Or
thank
Gil, you
you,
have something?
Jack.
To say? So Grant first and Gil.
Yeah, some brilliant points have been made here. And Gilles, whatever you said there, I think that was great also because it is. I think Mac and I were coaching some people last week, and we were talking about, the message. I think I asked someone, "What is your message? What is your message for someone?" And I think it's about having your important message, your one thing, your one topic that you're talking about consistently, and you're out there banging that drum about that one message. I think that's so important. And Jack, I love the point you raised there, which is always the awkward question, which I hear from the public, is about, oh, these people come on stage and they're selling. Well, of course, it's their business, it's their livelihood, and we all know that you can spend so much time with someone. Like I'm doing a conference this week, it's like 45 minutes to an hour. Yes, we all know there's only so much you can give them within that time. It will give them a taster. It will certainly give them something they can take away and implement. But if they really want to get the whole thing, they really want to make a difference. Of course, they need to spend more time with you, and of course, for that yeah, they need to pay for our time and our expertise because, after all, we've spent lots of years, we've spent lots of time, lots and lots of money learning these skills, not just as a hobby, but so we can help ourselves and help more people. And I think it's good to look at the ethics of this and to explain it because if you really care, as we, everybody here on the platform, I know well, we care so much about people, and it is our mission in life, our vision to help so many people. You can only do that if you spend quality time with them and really get to know about them, their business, what it is they want to do, and to help them streamline that. And that does take time, it does take dedication, And of course, because of that, everybody needs to eat. So yeah, that is a sold item. And I think it is this wonderful expression we use a lot, exchange. It is about an ethical exchange. Yes, we can show you what it is, as I worded it in my workshop coming up, in my presentation rather. It will be, I will tell you what is the main issue, what is the problem, the importance of. I will allude what it is, but if they want to know how to do it, that's when they're going to have to pay for the workshop to learn how to do it. So I guess it's the expression we use, isn't it? We show them the what, but not the how. That may sound a little mercenary, but of course, it's just to test the water to make sure you've got the right people in the room and that you're spending your time with the people who really want to learn and do something with this. Otherwise, if you're not, it could be depriving the right people from learning these skills and taking their life and their business to the next level. And that's the way I look at it. And it is just about choosing who to spend time with so that you can make a bigger impact on the world and help more people. And I just wanted to just add that to what you said, Jack. So thanks for bringing that point up. And that's my view on it.
Thank you, Grant. Gilles, do you have anything to add? I see you unmuted.
Sure,
Sir. Add.
sure. Thank you very much, Jack. And thank you, Grant. The few times that I've been in this room, I've always found that you bring a lot of value to the audience. I want to say that we also should not be shy of quoting ourselves. It's great and generous to quote other experts, but frankly, I don't know Grant as well. I know Mac very well. Mac is a world-class expert. And I'm sure, it's the case of many people on this stage. Mac is a world-class expert. Last that I counted, he trained over 100,000 people. You know how many people do that? Probably anywhere between 1 and 5% in their lifetime. So Mac is very familiar from all the ways of selling from stage, speaking from a platform, and selling that way. It's all about salting. You spoke about seeding. It's a different terms, different expression. When you put salt on the tongue of somebody, it makes their mouth wants to drink water. So it's all about people wanting to drink more of the water that you're actually feeding them. And really, the expertise is also here, not just outside with world-class experts. Mike has, I don't know how many years of experience in this field of entrepreneur, and he's one of the very best ones to sell any particular project. I'm ready to bet that it's the case of Grant, and I've heard Mike before speak in a very positive manner about the experiences of Grant. And I'm sure, Jack, it's the same case of you, and probably some of the others. Sorry, I don't know you as well, so I won't quote your names, but I'm sure you have value to bring to the market.
Thank you, Gilles. I appreciate your comments. You have not seen me speak on stage before, so I will not take this for granted. And of course, you have seen Matt, seen Grant before, so the comments, I believe, is trustworthy, it's valid. I've seen Matt speaking on stage. He's world class, he's awesome, and I respect him a lot on that. Okay, so let me see whether I'm being heard. Can anyone hear me? Because I'm not sure whether is it the internet connection or what. Just hold on.
Yeah, you're
You
clear.
can hear.
Clear.
Okay,
You're
you
clear,
can.
Jack.
Okay, I'm so worried because my circle is not blinking or what. I don't know whether I'm heard from you guys. And anyway, it's almost top of the hour. I just want to wrap this up. But before I wrap up tonight's session, I mean, James, Richard, and Prashant, do you have anything you'd like to contribute to add to the discussion before I do the wrap up? Prashant, go ahead.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks. I'm done.
Okay, great. Thank you. Richard and Jane, how about you guys? Do you have anything to add? Or
Yeah,
Grant,
I'm
you
going
have
to
some.
add
Oh,
quick
okay,
story.
Jane first, and
Quick,
then Grant. Go ahead, Jane.
quick story. One time I was in. This is about language. I was in back of the room. Blair was doing a program. Blair Singer, and somebody was up on the stage doing modeling the Martin Luther King speech, and this man was from Mexico, and Blair was coaching him, and he was just struggling, and it was just tough. And finally, Blair said something brilliant. Blair, as he always does, he said to the man, "Do it in your own language. Do it in your own language. And the man did it. No one knew what he was saying, really. Brought the house down. Everyone was in tears. And to me, this just makes the point earlier made about connecting with people. It's not about the language. It's about who you are and what you're emanating. So I love that story. Just wanted to share it. Thanks for letting me. That's all.
Thank you, Jane. That's the awesome classic Blair Singer's exercise that I think a lot of us have gone through, not one time, but many times. Grant, do you have anything to add? Over to you,
Yeah,
Grant.
thank you, Jack. Jane, I love that what you shared there about Blair, and what a great demonstration of what we spoke about. Absolutely, where you speak from the heart, when you speak with your passion. It's wonderful, and often actions speak louder than words. But yes, learning to speak from the platform, I think, is a marvelous skill. It does so much for you as a person, not just only for business. It gives you great abilities in yourself. It teaches you a lot about yourself. It teaches you a lot about the psychology of other human beings. And there's no greater field that you could ever learn, I don't think, than learning about other human beings, because we encounter them every day of our lives. And learn how to connect with them and how to change their lives, I think, is a beautiful gift. It teaches you so much about yourself, and it can be used way outside of these things. I've been asked to do talks outside of business, family occasions and things. They automatically come to you, and it's a great honour to be asked. So I think if anybody was considering how to expand their business or just learn more about other human beings and themselves, learning to speak from a platform is a great skill, because you learn so much, and these skills never go away. That's what I wanted to say. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you, Grant. So I would like to sum up what we have gone through in the last hour. So much information, so much wisdom and experience sharing. So thank you for all the moderators. So we start with why do we speak on the platform? Because some of us prefer to take advantage of the L word leverage, speaking in front of more people with lesser time and make more impact, and also financials, of course. So that is one of the great reasons why some of us decide to speak on the platform. We also make some distinctions about a general presentation, which is just about giving information away, versus some of us what we are doing in terms of platform closing. And Matt remind us the key word is not platform speaking, it's actually about closing. So we can spend a bit more time in future if we are going to do this topic again to talk about that closing thing, because this tonight I believe we have only touched or scratched maybe just 1% of the entire pyramid of platform closing. We also touch on the versions of teaching and selling versus selling upfront, seeding upfront, and valuable exchange, which is very important. I give away information for free, but I'm also expecting something in return, because closing or sales is always exchange. Gilles actually make a point which I just don't have the time to talk about this. That is when you design a gate, let's say the gate is 2 days, 3 days, at what point you make the offer and how many offers you make, and Gilles give us some insight about that. So I personally work with my clients on that as well, because everything has to be strategic. It's not like, okay, I'll only make my offer at the end of the game. No, never ever say yes just like that. So if you have got a few days to build up the credibility and the temperature of the room or the trust on the people, you can do a few things on these 3 days. Let's say the event is 3 days. So I would love to dig deep on that topic in future as well. So just understand that speaking on platform is cool, closing on platform is awesome, and it is your choice to decide whether you want to do this from now on, or you may want to open to this idea to consider doing this. If you have any questions about speaking on platform, you know who are the expert in this room. You can go to them and consult them, seek help when you need it. If you are from Asia, you can come to me, because Asian time zone is better. It's easy to work for me. Work with me in Asia. If you are from Europe, then you know who you can go to. We have got experts in this room. Okay? So we are all good friends, because we are here in Clubhouse wanting to share with you our experience. So if you have not done it yet, please go and click our button, the greenhouse on top. Join us, Business and Wealth Club. We will do our gate every Monday at 3 p.m. UK time, or right now 10 p.m. Singapore time. We'll bring to you the business, wealth, and financial topic And that's what we seek to do every week. So with that, I would like to thank you, Grant. Thank you, Matt, Jane, Richard, Prashant, and Gilles. I would like to thank you for those who are in the room. I want to especially mention Raji, because Raji is actually in Malaysia, and I asked her to come to listen to this talk tonight. So thank you, Raji, who decided to come and spend an hour with us from Malaysia. I appreciate that. If you are listening to the replay, you know that the information is pretty awesome. You may not be able to absorb one time, so you may want to play the replays a few times to get the gist of that. So with that, Jack Wong here signing off from Singapore. Thank you everyone for listening and participating in this discussion. So we'll bring to you another topic next Monday at 3 p.m. UK time. So with that, have an awesome week ahead, an awesome evening for us in Asia. Have a great week. Stay good, stay healthy. All good wishes. Sign off from Singapore, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
Thank you,
folks.
everyone. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jack.
everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you,
take
Jack.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
guys. Bye for
Folks.
now.
Thanks.